A story I just saw today, there's the World's Strongest Man competition, which is basically just a lot of very strong people coming together doing a myriad of tasks and then seeing who is the strongest, and you will crown the World's Strongest Man. They also have a division under them called the World's Strongest Woman, which is basically the same thing, but with women. Well, there's a bit of controversy going on about that. See, the controversy is that there is an athlete there named Jamie Booker, who has apparently won the World's Strongest Woman competition, but the catch is, Jamie Booker is a trans woman. Jamie Booker was not born a woman. It's not just an isolated incident or anything. This is also Jamie going against people who are assigned women at birth. They were not trans women at all. She ended up beating Andrea Thompson, a very reputable, strong woman. She is incredibly strong. She's won a bunch of shows. I'm sure if you're following World's Strongest Man and or seen some of the World's Strongest Women stuff, you've seen her before. Why is it so much of an issue? Well, there's always going to be the issue with having trans individuals, whether they're trans women or trans men, doing sports that involved biologically male or female of the opposite sex. And of course, I'm going to say this because a lot of people are going to come at me about this, or there are going to be some fucking freaks who think that I agree with them. I have no problem with trans individuals at all. I do have some issue with people saying they are just women or just men. They're not necessarily. This is going to be pretty much of a hot take. I don't know how much shit I'm going to get in for this, but you either do the competition with the gender you were assigned at birth, or you need to make your own organization, or, get together with people and try to build a trans organization. I'm sure that's probably going to piss off a lot of people left and right. There's going to be some people who are saying, you fucking hate trans people and you want them to die, and then there's going to be other people who are saying, I can't believe that you're sticking up for those freaks. The whole thing is a bunch of crazy stuff. Nobody ever wants to be in the middle ground and try and make some good resolution for what should actually happen. They all want to yell and think they're right and fucking high horse it, stand on their soapbox and, social justice warrior or fucking just complete insane racist. And now on top of the fact that Jamie Booker was assigned male at birth, it's also the fact that it's a tad bit weird. I know that this is going to get into another controversial thing, but the reason that people found out about Jamie Booker not being a woman at birth was that apparently Jamie Booker has some form of OnlyFans, where up there you will see explicit content of male genitalia. Now this does seem to be more of a rumor, more of speculation. I mean, there are some pictures that will show a person and say that this is Jamie Booker, but at the same time, I don't really know if that is the same person, and I'm going to be real with you, I am not looking up this person under whatever type of adult sites.
They happen all the time, and that's why it's so silly when these people come out here and say there's no evidence that trans women are dominating women's sports. It's like, bro, the evidence is everywhere. You just choose to ignore it, right? You don't want to pay attention to these stories because they're inconvenient for the left-wing narrative that's not grounded in facts, reality, or science. So
I do gotta argue with, it's not happening everywhere. It's not every single sport at every single given time. There's just plagues and plagues of dudes that are just going and saying that they're women and then signing up and dominating these competitions. There's maybe a handful in the past couple of years where this has happened, and it's become a very popular thing to talk about. It's become a very political standpoint, but it's not happening in droves. Even the swimmer that was apparently trans, I don't really know the backstory about that, but the swimmer that was apparently trans and then beat somebody, and that woman went on to went on to go into Republican politics or whatever. The woman that was beaten came in 5th place. She tied for 5th, if I remember right. Yeah, so if that person is trans, they did beat her, for sure. But other people beat that trans individual. At least 3 people, if she was in 5th, and then the other person ended up coming and beating her, she was in 4th, there are other people, 3 other ones, that beat that trans individual, and that other woman who ended up going into this political sphere and then, making a big fuss about it. So, I mean, I get it. It's still not a great thing when it happens. I still am very supportive of trans individuals. It is a very, weird middle ground gray area thing for me. For you, it might not be. You might look at this and you're disgusted. You might look at this and you're disgusted because I'm even discussing why it shouldn't happen. But it is this weird gray area. Because, I mean, it's not happening so much that there can just be, trans divisions in every single sport across the map. But also, it is still a thing where you spent so much time being a biological male, and then maybe you took estrogen, or opposite, you were a biological woman, and then you took testosterone later. It is still just odd. It's a very touchy thing. It's very hard to really have discussions about this. That, I don't think that's even a debate. It's just difficult to talk about. And then you add on the actual debate of should they be able to compete with the opposite sex, which is almost always should a assigned male at birth be able to compete with a assigned female at birth. That's almost always the topic. Nobody ever really talks about assigned female at birth presenting as a male or anything. And here's another thing. I'm not saying that there is no proof, but I keep looking it up, and all I'm hearing and seeing is people talking about the issue. I don't actually see any of the actual proof. I mean, this came from somewhere, and it may just be that Jamie is 6'5", 6'7", whatever, 400 pounds or so naturally a gigantic person. But I don't see any actual proof of it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying that I have looked for it, and I just personally cannot find it. I would love it if somebody could send it to me or something. Comment it, put a link in, whatever, and I'll look over it. I'll make another video. I'll say I was wrong. I don't really give a shit. I can't find that myself, and that's kind of an issue I'm having on top of this. So I mean, all I'm seeing is a bunch of people talking about it and saying oh, this is a product of feminism and the left and blah blah blah, whatever. But nobody's showing the actual proof. People are just taking a narrative and running with it. Which obviously is an issue, but fucking that happens all the time. I mean, hell, that's how people make these videos and, make money.
When I say that, I mean trans people. Should they be able to participate? Yes. Should they be able to have a category? Yes. Should they get all of the benefits from this beautiful sport that we all get? Absolutely. And there is absolutely no argument against that.
That is exactly the same thing I'm saying. That is, and I mean, Mitch, he's had his own controversy going on with him and his wife and cheating and whatnot. So, I mean, you may not want to listen to him or anything, but, I mean, that's the same stuff I'm having. Any trans individual, whether it's trans men or trans women, whether they just started transitioning, they've been transitioning for the past 30 years or whatever, I mean, they still should be able to do the things they love. They should still be able to compete. They should still have their own categories, all this stuff. They should still be able to get all the amazing things that these type of sports and doing these things will bring to you. There is just the issue that you should have your own and not really be encroaching on the ones that are already sanctioned, and they are already for somebody else. They are already for biological males or biological females, which in a way, on top of that, maybe the organizations itself should start to have be sort of active on that themselves and actually start to make these divisions for some of these sports. Obviously, it's not going to be like that for all these sports, but at least make it an option.
Is the most important thing. Second most important is we should encourage fairness. Third most important, there is no need to go after Jamie. There's no need. It's what's done is done, and everyone has their own struggles, their own difficulty, their own path. So let's not make this about one person. Let's make this about how do we correct this moving forward. Okay, do not take this out on one person who knows what's the internal dialogue, what they're going through. I don't believe that Jamie thought that they were doing anything wrong. I genuinely believe that they don't think they were doing anything wrong. But I think most people would want some sort of alternative option for someone like that.
That's another unfortunate thing. Apparently Jamie has private Instagram now, which before was not private, and I'm very certain that there are a bunch of super weird motherfuckers going over there and sending threats and whatnot, and mass reporting, and it's one of those things of I can understand some of the outrage, but at the same time, what is that going to help? Put your energy in the right direction. If you're mad, are you just going to start punching cinder blocks? No, of course not. You need to actually be doing something productive. You're going to have an emotional response to things. I get that. But you need to be an adult as well, and you need to be able to express those feelings and those thoughts a little bit better. Like, you don't ooga booga your fucking way through life. You're supposed to think and then strategically make these decisions to try and move forward with what is actually going to be helpful. And in this way, like Mitch says, it would be putting in place extra rules or extra whatever it be, guidelines, barriers, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure a lot of people are going to call it like just discrimination, essentially, which that's a lot of what rules are. Rules are discrimination. And talk to these events and these companies and tell them that they need to, if they're going to allow us at all, they need to be stricter about how they do these testing and the protocols, and potentially even give these people, whoever they, these trans men and trans women, their own category so they can go and do their own thing. Another interesting thing, in a way, because I know a lot of people are going to say, like, well, it didn't directly affect anybody else. When Armstrong dude, he ended up popping for, drugs. He's still, like, known to this day. That did slander his name. That did, besmirch the good name. But in a way, of course, like, he deserved it. He took drugs when he was not supposed to. He competed against people, whatever. Also, like, I don't know, the top 50 people in the Tour de France they're taking shit too. Anyways, when he popped or whatever, were people sending him death threats and, calling for the extermination of who he is, kind of as a base individual and whatnot? I don't think so. I mean, yeah, I don't know how old I was when that happened, fucking 8 or whatever. But, like, was that really a thing? Probably not. So why do you do this when it is something like a trans individual? Why is it any other time anybody competes and they cheat? It's never death threats. It's always like, oh, they need to strip them. Oh, like, talk some shit to them, of course. And then move on and, place better guidelines on how to restrict this from happening again. But when it's a trans individual, it's all of a sudden you're sending threats. You are, like, doxing people. You are fining their house. It's insane levels of, extremism when things like this does end up happening. It's very unfortunate for the people themselves. And of course, like he says, he doesn't think that Jamie knew that she was doing anything bad, but I kind of say otherwise. Like, probably definitely knew that this was not okay and still did it anyways because, potentially in Jamie's mind, the thought was, I don't know, man. I don't know what Jamie was thinking. But, maybe Jamie never thought anything of this. Maybe they were thinking, like, I'm a woman. I'm going to go compete. And it might have been as simple as that. I don't know, man. Like you said, I don't love it. It is super fucking weird. But what other sort of testing are they supposed to do other than, what Mitch suggested? If you got any other suggestions, happy to hear them. If not, I don't know, man. Just keep bitching about it and never coming up with any solutions, I guess. Anyways, like I said, if y'all can show me any proof of these allegations that are going on against Jamie, absolutely let me know. Send them to me. And if if you can't, you just want to be mad about it and comment about it, sure, go for it. That's really about it. See ya.